Donk Nation, Jackson, Janet's greetings and welcome to your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, here to lead the hype train, because it's week 18. There's hope. Even with the loss, gents, there's hope. There's Laskers, there's Gingy, there's a big win at Seattle with the offense showing up for back-to-back 30-point games. Gingy, tell me why I should be happy.
Woot woot, Mutant Gingy in the house. Donkey, you should be happy with 468 yards of total offense, 2 tuts from Najee Harris, dominant ground up front beat down on the offensive line there, Donkey, winning on both sides of the ball. Laskers, what makes you happy?
Hold on, Laskers, to get to you, I want to bring up this point. Old Steeler Devin Bush had 17 tackles against us Laskers.
Well,
and of course, he shoved his own foot in his mouth with some statements he made, but, might have been the best game of his career.
I'm pretty certain that's his best game of his career. I mean, 17 tackles is, I don't even know how to respond to that. I mean, yeah, we won. We look good, semi on offense. I'm still not on the Gingy train. I can't be.
Well, I can. I mean,
come on.
Najee Harris hasn't ran like that since he was in Alabama. But Gingy, let's be honest here. I think there are some SEC teams, I'm looking at you, Georgia, who could put up a better defense than what the Seattle Seahawks manned last week.
Yeah, and let me tell you what, too. A lot of jumping on the pile from Devin Bush, if I might say so myself.
Oh yeah, but, 8 yards down the field. That's about where he is making contact.
Yeah. So, but yeah. I don't know. To me, last week, I felt like the Steelers really were putting together some big plays, some splash plays on offense. I'm going to go right into the splash plays, Donkey. A lot of the times we're talking about those big turnovers on defense. And while we did see one of those last week,
in the game.
We did see one of those last week, baby. Let's go.
Baby Herbig with the biggest play of the game, no matter what you want to say. Baby Herbig with the biggest play of the game, Gingy. And I hate to say this, but that dude needs to be in at least a 50-50 time split with Alex Highsmith, because that dude has been the more explosive pass rusher this year.
And when he is in there, very explosive. Seeing some splash plays on offense, though, really made me happy. Some big runs. I don't know, Donkey. I called the wrong runner last week, I think. But Warren still had some big runs in there. Najee Harris and him both going at it. And like I said, what I saw is really just the brutal beatdown up front. More. I wouldn't doubt it. The brutal beatdown up front by the offensive line. That was impressive.
It was, but let's not be remiss here. This was still only a 7-point game. It's not like the Steelers had the big blowout. I mean, the explosion on offense was huge, but the inability of the defense to really make any stops outside of a huge play by Baby Herbig. I mean, you're talking Seattle was running the ball for over 5 yards a carry. Anytime they wanted to, DK Metcalf or Noah Fant were wide open. There were a lot of blemishes, mostly on the defensive side of the ball. But at the end of the day, the Steelers play clean football, and the defense makes the one big turnover that in a 7-point game, Laskers, is really what the difference was.
Oh, it's definitely what the difference was. I mean, you got to play a clean football game, and if you can't, you're going to be screwed. And you need your defense to show up for, we'll say, one play. I mean, if they can't show up for one play, then you're really going to be screwed because they ran over us.
And Gingy, I want to get into something that's not getting talked about, and it never will get talked about in the big-time media, and that is the hidden yardage the Steelers won because, for once, well, our punter didn't really have to punt, but their punter, who only had 6 touchbacks all year, I believe had 3, at least 2, I believe had 3 touchbacks in this game. And you want to talk about a huge change of field position with a team like the Steelers, who is playing that run it down your throat, maybe hit a splash play over the top. The fact that Seattle's punter had a bad day cannot be overlooked, Gingy.
Hey, got to win on all sides of the ball, donkey. That's what I'm talking about. Individual wins on all three phases of the ball.
Yes,
big players coming through
sure.
when you need them. And you were, I think it was Laskers, or you were both just talking about clean play, while we talked about the big turnover on defense, the big fumble caused by Herbig. Let's not understate the fact that our offense not giving away the ball, being careful, playing good.
Let's be honest here and give kudos to where kudos belongs on that, Gingy, though. The football gods are the only reason the Steelers won the turnover battle. Deontay Johnson fumbles a ball, but touches it while he's out of bounds. I told you guys that happened, and that was huge because that kills the ball right there. So, big break for the Steelers. Another fumble the Steelers happened by George Pickens, rolls straight out of bounds. The football gods were on the Steelers' side, Gingy. Our fumbles go out of bounds. Seattle's fumble goes straight to us. Football gods had a lot to play at this game.
Hey, I'm not going to downplay that, but I'll tell you what, that ball seems to happen to bounce that right way most often when your team's clicking well together. We'll just say that.
It is what it is. Mason's going to get his third shot coming in this week. No touchdowns from Mason last week, but some big plays over the top. Really, the running game was just annihilating, so why the heck would you do anything other than run the football right down their throat? Maybe some miss or hit points here, but there is you know what, I'm going to put it this way. You guys got anything else you want to say about that Seattle game? I mean, a well-played game by the offense. The defense did enough, made a timely play. Special teams played above par for their point. And all in all, Steelers moving forward. But there's a couple things I want to talk about not game related. So you guys got any more points on this Seattle victory?
I do not.
Yeah, I'll jump in here and just double down on one thing. Ben, and he's not out of the woods yet, all right? But there's been a reasonable amount of suspicion, dare I say, the BUST talk around Najee Harris being a first-rounder. And I'm not saying he's completely out of those woods yet, all right? But he gets himself back closer in terms of where he needs to be in terms of production and value. And I'll put that out there and be accountable for the words that have been said against Najee Harris, because he put up a heck of a game last week.
Fair enough. Remember that Seattle has the worst running defense in football since week 6. So
I hear
he's
you.
got to do it against a good run defense before I get on board with you, Gingy. But I hear what you're saying.
122 and 2 tuts is more like it.
It was a good game. Like I'm not here to hate on you. I'm here to just put a little perspective into what happened. Let's get on to, do you guys care? Mike Tomlin has another non-losing season. Does that matter to you?
Actually upsets me.
Gingy, does that matter to you? Or
I'm surprised, we got our number one guys out there. We locked up the non-losing season for Mike Tomlin, so I think it's time to arrest everybody at this point. Would I be right?
Yeah. If you mean the other team's going to arrest everybody, yes, that is what's happening.
Our team arrested everybody.
Point 2 I want to get to. How the hell does a big production like Fox go out there and say that Cole Holcomb, who's never played offensive tackle in his life, to my knowledge, is not only, who, by the way, is also on the injured reserve for the Steelers, middle linebacker, not only is he not on injured reserve, but they had him as our starting left tackle. How the hell does a network with a production amount of money like Fox, making as much money off as they do, make an error that is that egregious on national television? How does that happen, guys?
I don't have an answer for that.
Well, I'd tell you, if Dan Moore was a hair bit more memorable and worth putting up there, they might not forget him.
First off, Dan Moore is a guy of really dark complexion and not a white guy with a mullet. That's all I have to say. kind of hard to confuse the two. But point number 2 I want to make about so the Pro Bowl happened, selections happened, and Pro Bowl, aka the biggest joke in football, as it showed itself again.
Hey,
you just get selected off of names.
Football.
No, not even that. The selection for Pro Bowl is a joke. I mean, yeah, TJ Watt deserved it, but Minkah Fitzpatrick, you mean the free safety who's forced 0 turnovers and missed 6 games, deserves to be a Pro Bowler? I think not. Also, Budda Baker in the NFC, another safety who's missed 6 games and has forced no turnovers, makes the Pro Bowl because apparently they're their best at their position this year. This stuff is beyond a joke. I can't take a Pro Bowl serious. I can't take a player getting a Pro Bowl serious because it has nothing to do with their play on the field. It has to do with the name they have. Gingy, tell me that I'm reading this wrong.
So what you're saying essentially is that you don't take the NFL fan base seriously. Is that right, Donkey?
No. I'm sorry, when fans start voting for awards, unless it's fan favorite awards, it's a joke. Because the lay fan is not educated in the sport. The lay fan isn't going to do it. And if you're telling me the lay fan gets to say everything they want to say, then why don't we just let California have all the Pro Bowlers? Oh, wait, that's right. San Francisco got 9.
Not much to be said to that, Donkey.
I'm sorry, but when did my beloved football become American Idol, Gingy? American Idol on the football field. Come vote for Ruben Studdard. That's the last time I watched American Idol.
I think that's the internet age, Donkey. As soon as you could watch football on an app, that world came into existence.
Side note, when football on an app is a great thing because it lets me watch football games on channels I don't have. Neither here nor there. But
well, it
I
also
do want to give a huge shout out.
It gives the ability for fans.
Fair. He's the guy I said deserved a lot of knowledge this year, has been great for the Steelers for forever. And Miles Killebrew making the Pro Bowl made me happy because that dude has been an absolute stud on special teams for the Steelers. Now, while I hate it, that is the one guy I am happy got shouted out and absolutely made it into that stratosphere of being a superstar, I guess we'll say. But those are the topics that really had me going, man, I don't know. Also, before we get to the Ravens game, I want to laugh at some during the season, off-season talk. Apparently next year, the Pittsburgh Steelers will have their choice of either Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, or Kirk Cousins, because my understanding is we're about to acquire all 4 of them guys. My God, is our quarterback room going to be loaded?
Well, why the hell not?
Yeah, let's just put like 70, 80, 90 million dollars at the quarterback room, huh, Gingy?
Oh boy, I don't know if we're ready for that type of leap yet, Donkey.
We'll be the only team out there running 3 quarterback sets. No one will know what to do.
We're
Kyler Murray,
like 3 slashes.
There's Kyler Murray at wide receiver. Kirk Cousins taking the snap. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields lined up in the wishbone behind him with George Pickens and why not Jaylen Warren out there too. We're going to confuse the hell out of the teams coming forward, Gingy. Are you ready for the next era of Steelers football?
I think we just better settle down on that one, Donkey. You might just settle down and find yourself to having Nick Foles on your hand, Donkey. Let's see how this goes here, what we got going right now.
Nick Foles. Oh.
Well,
if I win a Super Bowl,
do I get the Super Bowl? You don't think Rudy wants a ring?
Do I get the Super Bowl is my question. Do I get the Super Bowl Nick Foles or do I get the Chicago Nick Foles or the Jacksonville Nick Foles? No. Which Nick Foles am I getting?
You get the playoff run. Super Bowl Nick Foles.
I get the playoff run? All right. Playoff run. Cool. Gingy, you want to go there? We'll go there. Playoffs, this is how we get there. This is how it happens. This is the way Steeler Nation gets to wave them towels in extra football, the tournament of tournaments. If the Steelers win, it's pretty simple. With a win, we need one of three scenarios to happen. We either need the Buffalo Bills to lose to the Miami Dolphins, we need the Jacksonville Jaguars to lose to the Tennessee Titans, or we could just have the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts tie. And I know a tie, that shit doesn't happen. Those games don't get that close. Do you remember a few years ago when the Raiders were playing the Chargers, and if that game ended in a tie, we were going to not make the playoffs, and the Raiders, who were in the playoffs with the tie, for some reason, with 4 seconds left, decide to kick a 56, 57-yard field goal at Daniel Carlson, and we all get to rejoice because that mother lover made a field goal that meant nothing to the Raiders, but meant the Chargers had to go home, and the Steelers got to play more football? Do y'all remember when that happened? So don't say ties don't matter, because they do.
I was just going to say, how many ties does Tomlin have? Oh, that's right, 2.
I was going to say, he has a couple in there. I, honest to God, don't know the Steelers' playoff scenarios with a tie, but I assume they're very similar to the ones I just said to you, except the Buffalo game would no longer matter because we couldn't catch Buffalo. So what we would need is the Houston-Indy game to not end in a tie and Jacksonville to lose. Now, the fun scenario, because we get into like layer 2 or 3 of the NFL tiebreaker here. This
is not fun.
The best record versus common opponents and or the best winning percentage of opponents played is the layer we're getting into. If the Steelers lose, we need a precise 2 things to happen. We need the Denver Broncos to beat the Vegas Raiders, and we need the Jaguars to lose to the Titans. That would force all of us to have a 4-2 division record, a 6-6 conference record, and then we get into the nuts and bolts of the tiebreaker down there. The fact that everyone's kicked our butts doesn't matter because somehow we have a better winning percentage in one of those 2 tiebreakers that matter. But come Saturday, well, I guess technically come Saturday, we would need there's a third thing that has to happen. The Texans cannot tie the Colts if we lose. If that happens, we're out as well. So come Saturday, unless the Texans have a tie, Sunday football still matters, Gingy. That's kind of cool, I guess, as a Steelers fan. Hopefully we have more scenarios to get in than less. And I guess technically, Saturday football, if the Steelers win, I will never root so hard for a tie as I will on the Saturday night game, Gingy.
Ooh, boy. Donkey, that's a lot. And I don't know if I can keep all them scenarios straight. It's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, what is interesting is this Sunday football definitely going to matter. Donkey, I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat.
Gingy, we're going for the miracle scenario, okay? Steelers win on Saturday, Colts, Texans tie, and we get to have a Saturday night party and a Sunday party because we're already in.
Ooh. That sounds fun. I don't know if that's going to be the way. We'll see. There's a few different ways.
This is the way.
Gingy had all the enthusiasm and love early, and now he's trying to rain on my parade. I don't like
it. Well, Donkey, I just don't like to count on ties. Well, you are right that they can occur, and that Raiders-Chargers game is a fine example. I can't feel like I can count on them.
That's fair. Laskers, playoff
you also
scenarios.
Mean the Colts-Texans game, but yeah.
Well, playoff scenarios. The fact that the Steelers have, with a win, a lot of options, does that make you feel confident, or does it make you feel not so confident when you look at, I don't know, let's look at Miami, who just had their whole defense depleted last week with injuries to their best corner in Xavier Howard and their best pass rusher in Bradley Chubb after they've already lost Jalen Phillips, and that team has not played good defensively since the loss of Jalen Phillips. Should we really be looking there, or is the spot we should be looking the Tennessee game and hope that maybe, Trevor Lawrence isn't quite right? Even if he does play, he's not quite right. And that Tennessee Titans team, maybe they play this game like it's their Super Bowl because they don't got any football after week 18. Maybe they go in with the one goal of ruining the Jacksonville Jaguars season, Laskers. Which one of those games do you feel better about for the Steelers?
I think the Jags-Titans game is the game that we have to be rooting for. I mean, there's no question. I mean, that's the game that we have to be rooting for. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool if Colts-Titans game. Texans, sorry. And a tie, but I think we have to be rooting for the Jags game. I mean,
Titans,
there's no other
yeah.
questions. I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, just in general, that game.
No hope, Gingy, that the Miami Dolphins offense can hang another 60 dinger out there?
Oh, I don't know. The Bills are hot, donkey.
Yeah, they are. You want to talk about a team that played, 3 or 4 first-place teams and needed to win every game, wins every game, while the Steelers, who play through 2-10 football teams, can't beat a single one? I mean, we have no one to blame but ourselves for the fact that we don't control our own destiny. When you look at the teams that any of these games would have made a huge difference, the Jaguars, the Texans, the Colts all beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 of which happened, or was only one of which of those happened in Pittsburgh. But still, this is the point of the season where you look back and you look at those bad moments and you're like, man, we're here because of our own doing. Deontay Johnson said it best. We got no one else to blame but ourselves if we don't make it, because we shot ourselves in the foot during an easy part of the year. You know what that tells me? Those dudes did not prep hard for the Cardinals or the frickin' Patriots game. That's all it tells me, is those dudes took that game lightly. And Gingy, as a fan sitting here right now, that's not the type of comment you want to hear coming out of your locker room.
Yeah, I can't tell you you're wrong, donkey, but I mean, awareness is a good thing, but I mean, it's not the best thing. Not in this situation. Hopefully they can bounce back. It's unfortunate. What?
Gingy just said awareness and Deontay Johnson together. I had to pause to reminisce this moment and make a plaque.
Yeah.
Everyone take date and time and etch that crap in stone, because it happened.
Listen, I sure hopes it makes a darn difference, right? Because he can say it all he wants, but if he don't do anything about it, then it ain't worth a darn donkey.
That's fair.
He's not wrong in what he says, though. Definitely shot ourselves in the foot. Any of those wins make this an entirely moot point. I mean, the Cardinals won, no, because I think it's NFC, but either the Patriots or the Colts.
Well, with the Cardinals one, we would control our own destiny because we'd still have the tiebreaker with the damn Bills.
Yeah.
Or Miami, whoever ends up losing that game. Yeah, that's neither here nor there. That's unfortunate, and that sucks, to say it lightly. But we have the important thing here is the Steelers scenario is a lot easier with a win. So with that, let's get into breaking down this game against probably the biggest rivalry of our generation. That's the Steelers-Ravens. 34-25 is the Steelers' all-time record. On the road, which this game is, it's 14-13. We went over the longest win, or the biggest win and the longest streak last time. Current streak is 2 to the Steelers. Oh, it'd be really good to make it 3. It would feel really nice to make it 3. But maybe there's some concern here that I need to talk about, and that's Lamar Jackson has never beat the Steelers. Lamar Jackson's not
playing.
Yeah, Brett Hundley has beat the Steelers. My goodness gracious. Is the fact that they're playing their backup quarterback a positive for them, Gingy?
Oh, okay, that would be a heck of a spin if the fact that Lamar Jackson, now you know me, donkey.
MVP, probably Lamar Jackson.
I can't even, those are the letters that I can't say in those orders, right? He's
already been it once. So you can say it and not be wrong. He's already been it. Put it out there. He is an MVP, Gingy. I broke Gingy Laskers.
Yes, donkey. I heard you. I heard you, donkey. But I'm telling you, all right, you can do. All right.
I did. I
He
broke
is
him.
having a high caliber season. Well, I've just never seen a Steelers fan that's such a big fan of a division rival. That's all, Donkey. But if you're that guy, that's fine.
I hate
You
the Ravens.
can Mark Madden this right in there as much as you want. But with that being said,
I don't
we'll keep
make
moving
up
forward.
stories for clicks. All right, don't you put me in the same breath as Mark.
Well, like I said, I thought this was a Steelers
a big
podcast.
Baby, Mark
I just
Madden,
thought this was a Steelers
Mr.
podcast, not a Ravens one. I'm just double checking though. Laskers, right? Steelers podcast?
Oh, it's definitely a Steelers podcast, but he's definitely in the conversation for MVP.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. In terms of talking about whether or not having Huntley out there is a better thing for the Ravens than having Lamar Jackson, Donkey. If that was a cash or trash, you know which way I'd be going on that.
Hey, I'm just saying, Lamar Jackson's never played the Steelers well. We seem to be able to beat him, as shown by the 0-3 or 0-4 record as a starter. There are certain teams that certain players just don't seem to get one over on, right? Ben Roethlisberger with the Patriots. There are certain teams that are certain players' kryptonites. Ben Roethlisberger with the Jaguars, honestly. The Steelers versus the Jaguars in playoff football is another great one. What I'm saying here is
Steelers versus the fucking Raiders.
This is what I'm saying is there are just certain matchups that don't go a team's way. Until Lamar Jackson shows he can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm not sure I'm really worried if Lamar Jackson's playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because that dude just has the worst luck when it comes to the Steelers. Fumbles going the wrong way. His receivers dropping 7 passes, 3 of which should have been touchdowns. I'm not saying he's the problem. I'm saying weird stuff happens to the Ravens when Lamar Jackson plays the Steelers. However, Brett Huntley has beaten the Steelers before. This is a known thing. This is a thing we've seen. And it's not like the Steelers don't lose the backup quarterbacks. We know they do. We've seen it happen far too freaking often. Ask Bailey Zappi. Okay? What I'm saying is, you don't want to talk about it. You want to make it seem like it's not a deal. But it really is a deal. It really is a thing that has happened. And it really could be to the Ravens' benefit that Huntley's out there. Now, he's a guy who has a lot of tape on him in the Ravens offense, so it's not so much of the unknown like you've seen, and you see it all the time with young quarterbacks. Or unknown quarterbacks, not even young ones. Look what Browning did his first 3 games with Cincy. The tape with him and Cincy's offense gets out there, all of a sudden he starts struggling more. Look at the way Mason Rudolph has come in seamlessly and just absolutely lit it up the last 2 games because there's not tape on him in this Steelers offense. These are things that need to be talked about because these are the points that matter in this game, right? Does Brett Huntley give them a better chance of winning than Lamar Jackson because the Steelers don't know how to plan for Brett Huntley? But then you also have to mention they have, 6 other players out as well. I know that Odell Beckham Jr. is not going to play. I don't think Kyle Hamilton's playing. There's another couple other defenders out there who aren't going to be playing. Are all these unknowns? I mean, clearly the defensive unknowns are bad for the Ravens. An absolute stout defense out there that's been amazing this year. Not having those guys is, of course, going to hurt them. But on the offensive side of the ball, could this unknown that's coming in there, because no one plays the way Lamar plays, could that be bad for the Steelers because they don't know what's going to be happening, Laskers?
Oh, it definitely could be bad for the Steelers because you don't know exactly what's going to happen.
And Gingy, that's what my point was trying to be here is I'm not saying this dude's a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. What I'm saying is, in this one game, one-off circumstance, we've seen the Steelers lose this game before. Why should it not make me nervous this time, Gingy?
Oh, we have every right to be nervous. Everybody should be nervous. Donkey, we're heading in there Still not at full capacity. Definitely want to talk about injury report later, but definitely lots of reason to be nervous. And I'm not saying either way in terms of Tyler Huntley's not a threat. Obviously, like you said, there's been losses on record for this from this fool before. So gotta stay frosty. But just say it overall, I am feeling that we are more fortunate to see him than we are Lamar Jackson in this instance. My opinion.
I don't know. I would have loved to see Lamar play, and hear me out on the reason for this, Gingy. Baltimore goes in and they play Lamar because they don't want him to get overly rusty, right? 2 weeks off could lead to a lot of rust. You know what Baltimore's game plan is going to be if Lamar's in there in a game that doesn't matter? They're not going to do anything aggressive. They're not going to do anything but basic vanilla things because they're not going to risk Lamar Jackson getting hurt in a meaningless football game. So if he's out there playing, you know they aren't going to do anything crazy, and you know they told him to be cautious, which means Lamar ain't going to be running the football. Why this concerns me is if Lamar's playing and playing to not get hurt, just playing to keep rust off him, I think that's a benefit to the Steelers. I think the fact that Huntley's going to go out there is going to be absolutely hungry, wanting the opportunity, and trying to make the most of it. That's a two-sided coin. That's either really good for the Steelers because maybe he makes some mistakes, or Gingy, that could be really bad for the Steelers because this is a dude playing for his NFL life.
That is quite possible. Given the fact that, he has beaten us before, though, you're saying we have seen him before. There should be some adequate opportunity to prepare for Huntley. Would you say, Donkey? Adequate opportunity to prepare we've known all week, right?
Right, but this is where I'm going to come back at that. Baltimore has a new offensive system. This isn't the same Baltimore system we saw last year. Quarterbacks all perform differently in different systems. That's how it always is. That's why if you have a guy who hasn't played for 2 or 3 years and you see him in a new system, a lot of times he'll come out and have that instant early success and look like an absolute stud. The exact example of that is Gardner frickin' Minshew. Every year's on a new team, and every year looks like he's going to light the NFL up for 4 weeks. And then everyone gets tape on him, and all of a sudden his numbers start coming back to reality. My fear here is we don't know what to expect from Tyler Huntley in this system. We've seen him before as a quarterback, so we know what his strengths and his weaknesses are. But the way Baltimore is attacking teams this year, Gingy, is so different than the way they've attacked them before. This is a team that's now running verticals to receivers, and receivers are actually being a bigger part of the passing game than the tight ends. That has never been a Baltimore Ravens style of football. This is a team that is actually using the pass to set up the run. This is a team that's they're playing the modern style of football, but this is a team that traditionally tried to be a throwback team, that run first style of team. That's not who they are anymore. That's not what they do. And seeing this guy, specifically Huntley, in this system, while I expect it to be a run-heavy game and them trying to control the clock, could be scary for the Steelers, especially when you consider who the hell do we have in the secondary that has stopped anyone this year? I don't think I saw DK Metcalf covered at all last week. I am a little more than nervous on this game. And the main reason is, even without the top tier weapons there in Baltimore, that's still a pretty good football team.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree with you. There's a lot to prepare for this week. Let's hope Tomlin has the boys ready.
And Gingy, Laskers is having a fun time over there. Gingy, you wanted to get into the injury report, so go ahead, break it down. There is a lot to run through here.
Yeah, no, I don't know who's on it, Donkey. Tell me more.
Oh, there's which players you want to know? Laskers, do you have the injury report up right now?
Where's Minkah at in his timetable here?
He practiced on Friday, I believe.
That's a
I don't
big
know if
part
he
of the
would,
secondary. And I know you said not Pro Bowl level. I feel like he impacts in other different ways as well. Maybe not at a Pro Bowl level, but definitely a leadership on the field, sort of a field general type of guy. At least he has been this year.
So the Steelers' injuries with status designations was Trenton Thompson's questionable for the game, Minka Fitzpatrick and Landon Roberts both questionable for the game. No one else holds an injury designation. For the Ravens, you have Odell Beckham Jr. is out, Zay Flowers is doubtful, Kyle Hamilton is questionable, Malik Harrison is out, Marlon Humphrey is out, Lamar Jackson is out, Arthur Millette is questionable. Stevens is questionable. Tylan Wallace and Darius Washington questionable. Daryl Worley and Kevin Zeitler, offensive lineman, out. So looks like the Steelers should have a full plethora of weapons. The Ravens are without a lot of people. Laskers, you still here?
I'm still here. I muted myself. So Kenny was the big one. He's been a full participant, so
yeah, he has no injury designation, so he should be the backup for the game.
Yep, he's a backup.
As the Steelers rolling with the hot hand in Mason Rudolph. But Laskers, these injuries, the Ravens missing 3 starters on defense and 3 more on offense. Is that the sway point for you?
No, it's not. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it's not. It's not a sway point because they are still good even with people out.
That's certainly true. And Gingy, this is a team, obviously, they don't even have Mark Andrews because he's been on IR the whole time, so he wouldn't show up on this. But with that injury report, do you think the Steelers have somewhere to exploit on that Ravens defense, especially with Humphrey out and if Kyle Hamilton, the young safety who's playing out of his mind, if they're both out, do you think the Steelers are going to be able to take advantage of the Ravens down the field?
I'd like to hope so. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, big games.
That's what we would need to see. Let's get into some cash or trash here. I think we broke it down pretty good. Laskers, let's start with you. Let's start on offense. Mason Rudolph keeps the clean sheet going. No turnovers for Mason in all 3 of his starts this year. Cash or trash?
I'll cash that one in.
Fair enough. Gingy, you like splash plays. Receivers have been providing them. The Steelers will have 3 or more plays of 20 or more yards this week against the Ravens. Cash or trash?
Cash that in. They're going to have to if they're going to put up a dub.
Laskers, back to you. Now, the Ravens' front 7 is absolutely stout. You're talking both Pro Bowl middle linebackers came from here in Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith. But the Steelers find a niche and are able to run the ball for 120 or more yards. Cash or trash?
I'll cash that one in.
You guys really like the Steelers coming on offensively. All right, I'm down with that. Let's keep going. Gingy, offensive side of the ball. Oh boy. Touchdowns, 30 points. My goodness gracious. The Steelers keep it going. The Ravens have given up 30 points before. They did it in a division game against Cleveland, actually, before. The Steelers will again eclipse a 30-point mark. Cash or trash?
Trash that one, Donkey. Sorry for the downplay. I think it's 27 this week. Spoiler alert.
That's a lot. Laskers, last one for the offense. Last one for the cash or trash. These tight ends seem to not exist. This is the week they come to life. The tight ends for the Steelers will account for 55 or more receiving yards this week. Cash or trash?
Trash.
Fair enough. Let's go defensive side of the ball. Gingy, TJ Watt needs to get at least a sack. Well, I guess half a sack to win the outright sack total, and that's saying Trey Hendrickson doesn't get any, or any of the other guys who are right there, Myles Garrett, Danielle Hunter, Micah Parson, I think, is in there. There's a bunch of guys right there between like 17 and 15 sacks, right? TJ Watt will, in fact, have at least half a sack, but more importantly, will TJ Watt get enough sacks in this game to be the NFL sack leader? Cash or trash?
Ooh. I think he's looking for it, and I think he wants it. Cash it.
Laskers, my second one to you is going to be Minkah Fitzpatrick's probably going to be back in this game. Minkah Fitzpatrick doesn't have any turnovers caused this year. Hasn't been in charge of a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, or an interception. This is the week. Minkah Fitzpatrick will either force a fumble that the Steelers recover a fumble himself, or get an interception, cash or trash.
Oh, that's definitely trash.
Fair enough. Gingy, we had a nice debate here about quarterbacks and how I'm not allowed to disgrace the name of Lamar Jackson. But Tyler Huntley beat the Steelers before, hasn't put up huge numbers. The Steelers will hold Huntley under 200 yards passing, cash or trash.
Trash.
Ooh, so Ravens going to have some offense going. Laskers, Dalvin Cook was just signed by the Baltimore Ravens after getting released by the New York Jets, I believe is where it is. Does Dalvin Cook, this is going to be a two-parter for you. The first one's yes or no. Well, I guess you say cash or trash. On both. So let's start. One, does Dalvin Cook play against the Steelers? And two, does Dalvin Cook have 40 or more yards against the Steelers?
Trash and... Oh, wait. Sorry.
Clearly
Cash and trash.
I was like, if you trash the first one, clearly trash on the second one. Because if he ain't playing, he ain't getting no yards. Gingy, last one. It's coming to you. The Steelers' defense has not been sacking the quarterback since like week 11. The Steelers' defense will show up this week and will have 3 or more sacks against the Baltimore Ravens, cash or trash.
Cash it.
I like to hear it. That's how I'm going to close my cap of the game. Laskers, give us a little breakdown of what you expect to see. Gingy, a breakdown of what you expect to see. And then we'll get into some final picks. So, Laskers, go ahead.
Oh, I'm expecting that this is not going to be good for the Steelers. I think we're going to be hoping for ties and losses and everything else. I just don't feel good about this game.
Fair enough. Gingy.
Oh boy, the end of the regular season is nigh, donkey. I think that the Steelers have it in them here. I'm not sure the Cards are going to fall the proper way to see extended football, but I think the Steelers got this one. I really do.
Fair enough. Let's get into the picks then. We have another AFC North game that means literally nothing because the Browns are locked up where the Browns are locked up, and Cincinnati can't make the playoffs. But we have Cleveland going to Cincinnati. I think it's like the 5th starting quarterback out there for the Browns. I don't even know who the heck it's going to be this week. Cincinnati still has Browning out there. Jamar Chase said he's going to play for whatever that's worth. Gingy, who'd you like? Cleveland going to Cincy to end the year.
Give me Cleveland.
Fair enough. Laskers, who'd you like?
Goddamn Gingy copier. Give me the Browns over the Bengals.
Give me the Bengals against the Browns' 33rd starting quarterback because, well, they're the home team, so I gotta take them. We got Pittsburgh. We got Baltimore. Laskers, who'd you like? What'd you like as a score? And who is your X Factor?
Give me the Ravens. 24-16. X Factor is Zach Flowers. And I told you guys why. Well, Gingy might not have heard it, but...
Zay, by the way.
Whatever.
Fair enough. We don't need to know their name. Gingy, who you got?
27-20. Pittsburgh Steelers. X Factor. Deontay Johnson. Look for him to get on the board this week with some points. Let's go.
I have the hard time imagining Mike Tomlin doing anything but what he's done for the past 5 years. I hear him say scared money don't make money one more time. I'm going to slap him because that's how he always plays. I think Mike Tomlin now has an area where he has stuff to lose, and I think you're going to see Tomlin coach the way Tomlin coaches when things matter, which is clammed up, very tight, very afraid to take the opportunities. Let's be honest, the last 2 weeks, the Steelers had nothing to lose. They went out there and they played like it. They have a lot to lose this week, specifically because we're the first game and nothing else has gone on yet. I feel the Steelers play scared here. Me and Gingy have talked about it multiple times this year, that conservative, ultra-conservative style of football, the play not to lose, I think it shows up this week. I think it costs the Steelers. I think it's 16-13, and you want to talk about X factors in Steelers-Ravens games? Justin Tucker's the X factor. Justin Tucker hits a 62-yard field goal to end the half. That's the difference in the game. 16-13. I see Baltimore taking this one. However, I see a lot of hope happening for Steelers because I see Jacksonville losing, which is part of what needs to happen, and I see Denver beating Kansas City going into the fourth quarter. But just like all the other seasons have killed my mojo, I have learned not to get too high on the hype train. And of course, Kansas City makes a comeback, beats Denver, the Steelers get another nothing award. Because if I say all the negatives, only the positives can happen. So I'm just putting all the bad voodoo out there because when that happens, good things happen. But we still have one segment to do. We still have shout-outs. Gingy, who'd you like?
Absolutely, Donkey. You know probably where I'm going with splash plays. Every time I feel like I see Nick Herbig in there, he is screaming around the corner at light speed, Donkey. Man, he has some explosion off the snap. It was awesome to see him come around there. Very, very similar, I feel, to the way James Harrison used to come around that corner. It reminds me how low he gets, how tight that edge is.
He adds about 45 pounds of scariness. I'm on board, Gingy.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying he looks like it. I'm saying the move reminds me like it. But
I'm with you. I want to see him put on 45 pounds of muscle, though.
If he did, that would be quite crazy. If he put on 45 this off season, but you never know, Donkey. But that's my shout out this week. Way to go, young man. Way to come in and make a big difference in a big game. Let's go.
For sure. Laskers, you have a shout out?
I don't, but I'm going to tell you that the Chiefs still don't play the Broncos because the Raiders play the Broncos.
You're right. My bad. The Raiders will make the fourth quarter comeback. I don't know why I've thought the Chiefs would play the Broncos all week, but it'll be the Raiders making the fourth quarter comeback. Thank you for catching that, Laskers. Aiden O'Connell's going to end up hooking up with Devontae Adams. That's the way that game's gonna end, and that's the way the season's gonna end. Thank you for the catch there, Laskers. I do have a shout out. It's a two-parter. One, Mason Rudolph. Me and Gingy have had this debate for so long, so thank you for coming out and putting up two solid games because my God, this has been 4.5 years in the damn bacon, and it makes me happy. Part 2, Miles Killebrew, congratulations. I've been talking you up all year, and thank goodness the popularity contest thought you were worthy, because that makes me happy to see a guy who's not a big name guy but has been a huge contributor get noticed for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now it's time to let you know, I'm the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. Your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger's YouTube channel where you get this fun content. Be sure to tune in. We'll have a lot more stuff, even if the Steelers don't make it. I'll bring you some playoff talk. Hopefully Laskers and Gingy will come to join in a little playoff festivities till the end of the year. And when they're gone, I'll make sure Bug and JD come in and give you guys a little bit of live wire making fun of their dad on the show for fun stuff. Leave us a like, comment, follow. Let us know what you'd like to see more of and what you'd like to see, I don't know, less of, how you'd like to see it done better, whatever it is. Laskers, let them know.
I'm Laskers everywhere, and if you can't find me, well, too bad. To you, Gingy.
Ute and Gingy in the house. We hanging out talking football. Holy smokes, people. We are at the end of the regular season, and it is a banger. Steelers, Ravens, everything on the line. Here we go. Get them towels and get them waving, folks. Here we go, Steelers.